The Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library is really special.
We were discussing possible construction, in addition to the main library, as well as possibility of branches in maybe 2-3 locations within city limits. The board looked at the expansion of the main library finally as being the only construction to go with. It was going to be very expensive to add branches, and the problem also was the funding of staffing those 3 branches. Would they be open the same hours as the main library? Would they have all the same materials? Also, when looking at expanding the main library, it was looked at the possibility of moving the site to somewhere else in the city. It was decided that to be fair to most citizens within the city, would keep it towards the center, right where it is. If we'd moved it way out to the west part of town where the expansion of the city was going, there would be a lot of people that would have difficulty getting to the library, and that was vetoed, that idea. The board was the one chiefly instrumental in selecting architects, and a request was put out for general architects, and then they were looking at specific architects for the design, the architectural design of the building. I don't know how many different architects they were thinking of, but they selected a local company that had done some work in Kansas City with the architect Michael Graves, who at that time was exceptionally well known. Everybody thought Michael Graves was very exciting work and probably would be a little more acceptable in conservative Topeka. I remember at that time I was at a Mountain Plains Museum Association meeting where Vito Escanzi had talked about the new landmarks in communities being libraries and museums, whereas in decades past and centuries past, they had been churches, cathedrals. I thought, okay, that's really exciting. We're going to be part of this. What we did before we actually got the bond issue passed was the Friends of the Library paid for a scale model of Graves' design. And that was constructed in New York at his offices and then sent to Topeka. We took this model out to the art fair at Washburn University, and various people took their turns standing and answering questions with the public at that time. We were, I want to say, somewhere in an area of $250,000 over budget due to the design. So some architectural details that were on the building, such as a barrel vault over the periodical reading room, that was removed. 700 square feet off of each end, as well as the drive in that now comes in from the west and goes down below grade to the loading dock. At the time of our design process and all, after choosing an architect for design and an architectural firm and an engineering firm in Topeka to do the library, David Lehman was the executive director, and he was the one that attended more meetings than anybody else outside of the board. We had an on-site liaison architect that was hired by us that was the go-between between the contractors, subcontractors, and the architects' offices, both in town and in New York City. The building process was done in several phases. That was a process that was very, very interesting. I would follow that process along with a old-fashioned now 35 millimeter camera and photograph the various stages while it's under construction. Early on in the process, Michael Graves came to Topeka. We had a large dinner down at the old City Hall building, and this was almost kind of a fundraising dinner. You had to pay so much to come to that dinner, and Michael Graves made a presentation there talking about his work, showing slides of the work. And that was the first, I think, meeting that I had with Michael Graves. Very distinguished looking man, very interesting, polite. It was, very interesting just being able to see somebody that's that nationally and internationally recognized as an architect, and how they work with the public. And he worked very well with the public.
Well, my first vivid memory of Michael Graves was meeting him at the airport, and my wife Linda and I were his official hosts, and we were a little apprehensive, thinking, I guess, that we weren't really sure how we were going to relate to this internationally known architect, but we quickly discovered that he's a very down-to-earth person who's used to schlepping his own luggage, and who in fact shared with us a common love for Labrador retrievers. We were also very taken with him personally because of his thoughtfulness. One vivid memory that I have occurred at a reception that we were hosting for library donors to meet Michael at the home of Kent and Susan Garlinghouse. And I was standing next to Michael in a reception line and was relating to a friend a story about an invention of Michael's. It was actually a business card holder that was so slick because you could pull a little tab and the cards would pop up, and one of many hundreds of inventions that he has made in his career, not just in buildings but in objects, useful objects like this business card holder. And I had ended up giving my business card holder away and regretted now that I no longer had mine. I felt a tap on my shoulder, and Michael reached into his pocket and he pulled out this business card holder. He pulled the tab up, pulled his own business cards out, and handed the business card holder to me as a gift. Now, needless to say, I will not be giving this one away to anybody. This is always going to be my business card holder, a personal gift from Michael Graves.
Later, again, he was in Topeka for the opening of the library. After everything was completely done, there was a large gala for the library opening, in which Laura Bush had also come to Topeka. And that's because she has a friend in Topeka that she'd gone to school with. She could stay with her. Her entourage of Secret Service was all over the place. They came in a week before, but they learned the library and everything around it. Before that, the month before that, they gathered all kinds of information on staff. They don't take many chances. So that was a pretty exciting week. I had purchased this, I don't remember when now, but he autographed and did a drawing. He didn't just, real quick whip out a pen and sign his name on a book. I think almost everybody's book he did a little drawing of some sorts, and it took him a little while to do that. So I thought that was taking special interest in staff that were going to be working in his artwork. I was very excited that they did choose Michael Graves. This Graves building will become another landmark in Topeka.